canonical in general, and then writing AppArmor profile so that we can. So basically, it means that my job is to create secure Ubuntu. So different things. There are many divisions inside my team as well, but these are the things that I'm mostly working on. And this is a rough agenda, I'd say, what we'll be doing today. So I have bytecoded an app that is vulnerable by design. Then we'll play with that app and then use AppArmor to restrict. So there are a couple of vulnerabilities. So yeah, since AppArmor is used to restrict the application, and I'm a security engineer, so so if you don't know about the vulnerabilities as well, it's not a problem. I'll walk you through them. Then we'll create our first AppArmor profile. Then obviously we'll break things as we go, because AppArmor profile can be very restrictive and things don't work out of the box. Then we'll fix things, and then I'll talk a little bit about how you can start thinking about contributing to open source, and you can start that journey with AppArmor. Sounds good? Hopefully everyone had their coffee, and yeah, let's get started then. So as I say, I wouldn't say I have written it, mostly LLMs did. Command injection vulnerabilities, SSRF, and arbitrary file reads and writes. Don't worry if this does not ring any bell to you. Quick disclaimer, since this is a vulnerable app, I would suggest to run this inside a VM if you have a VM, but don't worry if you don't have a VM. I hope that you have been working on creating VMs on the previous workshop, so I hope that you have a Ubuntu VM on your system. Even if not, at least you need Ubuntu. I think any version, I have tested this on Noble Questing, so I think any version will do. But do not try to run this application on all interface. So it's a web server, so I would really suggest that you don't run this on all interface, which means that by default if you follow along, that there won't be any problems, because so it is a little bit of sketchy, but I have created a dev application that you have to install on your system. If you go to the said repo, there is a release. Inside the release, you can there is a deb file. So what I'll do is that I'll download this deb, and I suggest you follow along. So if there are any problems, let me know. Then yeah, so I'm in my VM, and I'll just use wget and the link. Sorry? Okay. Okay. Let me quickly try to upload it then. So it looks like the presentation is not accessible for all. So I'll have a look. So give me a sec. Can you check if you can access it? It's the slideshow that I'm using. It's okay. Thanks. Sorry, there is. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, it's not on the releases page, but on so in the README you should have a link to the Launchpad page. So I'll show you. So yeah, let's. Okay, so let's. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have opened it here. So this is the this is my GitHub repo. So it's under my name Shishir Sub 10 and UbuCon Asia 2025. So maybe it's a good thing that you if you open this, there are a lot of references on the README. So then you can follow along with that. Thanks. So while you do it, I will show what is in the README. So you can compile it from source, but you need Go. So I would suggest to skip that step because you need to install Go. Then there's a pre-built binary as well that you can run, and I suggest to skip that step as well, so that you should follow what I do, so that we are in the same page. So. But what with AppArmor, I mean, we will be seeing denial messages and things like that. They would be same if so if you look at the screen, I have what I've done is the CGO enable 0, which means that it will create a statically linked binary. So if you do it differently and it does not create that, then your binary depends on the library that are on your system. So that means that if you follow along with me, what I have done is that I'll try to make things in a way that it can be so that it flows in a way that I want it to flow, right? So because starting out with AppArmor profile, it might feel like it is a tedious task, but let's follow along, then we can tackle along the way. Make sense? So if you all have opened this page, if you go to releases page, there is a deb file that's built for AMD 64, and if you want a ARM Debian package, what you can do is you can download it from Launchpad. So here is ARM package as well. So my machine is AMD 64, so what I'll do is I'll just download this particular deb package. Yeah. So I'll be using wget. If you don't, you should have it on your Linux machine. So running the command, it starts the download. I can see that my deb is downloaded. So if everyone has downloaded the deb, I'll move on to the next step. I'll install it tpkz -i and the deb name. it asks me for my password. Then the deb is installed successfully on my machine. And if I, so what it does is it creates a binary which is named UbuCon Asia, and it's present inside user bin UbuCon Asia 2025. So it just creates a binary and place at that place. Then yeah, we'll be playing with this particular binary. It's a web server. Then we'll see how it works, how it behaves. Then we'll cut off its access and things like that, and fun. We'll have fun along the way, hopefully. So everyone has downloaded and installed the deb. So going to the slides, let's verify if everything works as expected or not. So I have run the deb. It says that it is listening on localhost 1080, which it should be like that. There is an option to change that, but I wouldn't suggest you changing that since it's a vulnerable app. So it's now running on my local interface on port 8080, and it should be same for all of you.
How to log this?
You just run UbuCon Asia 2025 after you install the deb. And there are a few endpoints, as you can already see, like read, hello, ping, fetch, and upload. And if you get to this point, it means that it's running as expected. And I'll try. So what I'll do is I'll port for. So this is all. This is. I mean, if you are running on VM and if you want to access that port from your host. So I'm doing a quick local port forwarding. So if you have a GUI inside your VM, that's fine as well. You don't need to do that. Since I was inside a VM, I do not have access to the local host. So what I did is I forwarded the port, and now I can access that particular thing from my host machines. And if you, if you don't have a GUI inside your VM, it's completely fine as well. You can just follow along here. So that's fine as well. So let's browse through and see what, yeah. I used SSH, so I'll show you command here. So if I had already set SSH on my VM, so if you have SSH, you can do something like -L, where it port forwards your host machine inside the VM. Note that this clean noble AMD is my VM name. It can be slightly different for you. It's not. I'm running inside a VM.
Open browser?
Yeah, browser on my host machine. It's completely fine if you can get it to the browser. It's completely fine. It's not needed. You can follow along on the screen that I show you. But how many of you can run the thing at localhost 8080 and see it in a browser? Yeah. If you have SSH, you can try this. If not, it's not a problem, to be honest. We can move on. So as you can see that this is my vulnerable app. It shows animal pictures. Currently I don't have any, so I'll try it and upload one. If you look at the endpoint here, it's upload. Then what I can do is I can choose a file that I wanted to upload. I choose this file. Then there's an option where generally it's not present, but it's here to make it vulnerable, right? First I'll show you the normal use case, and I'll tell you what I mean. So what it has done is that it has uploaded the file to my home directory, and it created an animal pictures directory, and it has placed the file there. know that this will be important when we start writing our AppArmor profile, because with AppArmor what you can do is you can give access to a particular app on what it can access. Like, okay, this app should not access this directory, or this app should only access this directory. But yeah, we'll talk about that more later. So let's continue exploring the app first, then we'll jump into AppArmor. So what I mean about the vulnerability is that since I can select the destination file location as well, what I'll do is I'll move a little bit few directory backwards, then I'll go to the temp, and if I try to write this file in that directory, it succeeds, because since this is vulnerable, now the directory now the file is stored in a different directory which is inside temp, and this is a vulnerable behavior. Because for example, if this was running as root, you would be able to upload any files and it will just override any files you want, like etc shadow, where your user password hashes are, right? So this is definitely a vulnerability, and then we'll try to address this and mitigate this using AppArmor. If I refresh this, this is the doc gif that I uploaded. There's another endpoint as well which is missing here, which is a read endpoint, and what it can do, it takes a file name parameter and it just gives me a file. One interesting thing about this endpoint as well, this is also vulnerable. So if I try to access the file that was there, then it doesn't show there because it's the same file, but it is showing. So if I try to get another file like etc password, this is something that was not supposed to be, right? This is a vulnerability. I am accessing files that I wasn't supposed to. So this is another vulnerability that we'll try to address it using AppArmor. Then moving on, exploring the functionality, there is a hello endpoint that does not do anything, it just prints hello world. Then there is a ping endpoint. I mean, if you are into cybersec, you should know that these kind of things are vulnerable to command injection by the looks of it, and it is. So this is a simple ping tool which non-pings ping binary in the backend, then it sends us the response, right? But if you try something like this, you get a response of another command that was executed, which makes it vulnerable to command injection as well. So what you can do is you can execute any command here as if it's a terminal shell, right? So this is another vulnerability that we'll address. Then there is another endpoint where you can enter the URL, then it fetches the content of that particular URL and feed it to you, right? So if I try to fetch something from example.com, then we can see the contents of that particular thing. So this is another vulnerability as well. Now that we know what the app does, let me quickly switch to my slides. Does this vulnerability make sense to all of you, or are you still confused on what's going on? Or yeah. Okay, I can do that. So the first one is that you can upload file and place it anywhere on your file system. So that's the first vulnerability. Then you can read any file on your file system. So this app, it can read any file as long as it has permission to. It can read any file on your file system. That's the second one. Then the third one is that you can execute anything from here. So the expected use case was to run a ping binary, but what you can do is you can execute other shell commands as well. So this is this is the expected behavior. You are pinging some server and you are getting a response back. But if I tried with semicolon and IDE for bash shell, what it means that okay, the last command is completed, now this is the new command, then it start executing the next command and you can show the response, you can see the response for the next command. And you can try it like with sleep 3, you can see that the server is hanging, it means that it has gone to sleep, and you can see the response after 3 seconds. Does this make sense to everyone, or are there any questions?
This type of vulnerabilities were supposed to be fixed in web server side.
Yeah. This, I mean, I am just showing this because these are very classic examples of these kind of vulnerabilities that you won't normally see in modern day web application, because if there are /// path traversal, then your whatever web server that you are using or the modern application, there's a good chance that they will sanitize these things for you. But yeah, now here we are here to learn AppArmor, not web development. We should definitely follow best practices while doing that. But yeah, let's get back to the slides. So now that we have a good understanding of how the web app works, let's dive into AppArmor. And before diving into it, I would like to tell a little bit about why we actually need AppArmor, because I have since I work on patching applications like I mean, in whatever there is in Ubuntu, there are so many CVEs that come in every day. We cannot patch them all, but at least we try to patch their critical and high, and there is a huge pile of medium CVEs vulnerability that, I mean, we don't have manpower or capacity to patch, right? So even if your app is very secure, there are high chances that it is vulnerable and someone will find it. Then it's normal thing, right? As time goes on, it is bound to be vulnerable, and there will be vulnerabilities on your app. Then Linux in general have very broad permission. I'll show you what I mean. So I'll stop this, and if I show you a well-known file, so what it has, like I show you this file already as well, it just contains the user that are in your system. So if I look at the permission for this particular file, you can see that this is the permission. It means that the root user can read and write to this particular file. This is for this root user. Then there is groups. Any user on root group can read this file, and anyone can read this file. So it means that any user on your system is able to read this file. Now my app might not need this privileges, but it gets by default. And there are other files as well. Right now I'm running this as a Shishir user, so what it means that it can access everything that is on my home directory, my SSH keys and things like that. And this kind of vulnerabilities, I mean, if I install this vulnerable app, which we all have, right? We have it on our system, then it can be used to escalate privileges to even root users. Since right now it's not running as root, but we can there might be other ways that we can escalate privileges. So let's try to tackle this using AppArmor. Don't be scared. It's kind of like a template. I mean, this is a very simple AppArmor profile. AppArmor is supposed to be human readable, which it is. You can ignore something. This ABI instruction included something like if you have done C coding, you can include some other files. It's similar to that. I'll talk about tunable globals in a while. Then you have a profile name and the binary that you want to confine. Then there's another include here. You can okay. So and some files. Then I'm giving it access to read a particular file. Then this is a local AppArmor profile. So AppArmor profile kinds of looks like this, and we'll try to create one for our profile. So basically it's a guard that if you have written an AppArmor profile for your application and it sits in the middle, and if your application asks for something that it does not have access for, it blocks the access. So quick question, for the last profile, can it read HC host? So I'll show you the profile once more. So this is the profile. Can it read HC host file? Yes, it should, right? Because it's on the profile itself. But can it read HC password? Yes, obviously it should not, because that's not something that was mentioned in the profile. So on a high level, what can we confine with AppArmor in particular? So like you saw earlier, we can mention on what files and folders can a particular application access, right? We can define that on AppArmor rules. We can limit the network access. If you want, let's say you are downloading a PDF reader and you always download your PDFs, right? And you just open with that particular thing, and if it does not need network access, you can block that. And it won't be able to access. So even if my application was vulnerable, it was going to fetch something from example.com in the previous example. If I block it using AppArmor, it won't be able to do that. And we can limit on what our application spawns. Like how this works is that generally there is an application running and it spawns other processes as well. Like we've seen, we were just running UbuCon Asia 2025 was running on my terminal, but if on the example that I shown previously on this particular thing, I killed that, so let me run it again. So here the new process was being spawned by my process. Like it was calling ping binary, then it was doing its thing, then it returned return code 0 means that it succeeded, then the execution passed back to our original application, right? So this is something we can also control using AppArmor. And there are other things like restricting system calls and capabilities, signals, and many more. So what advantage that we have with this is that with the file permission like read, write that I've shown you earlier, we get a more fine-grained tuning of the rules. That so what we can relate this to is on your phone these days. If you want something, if some app wants your access to a microphone, right, it will ask you, hey, do you want to give access to your microphone or camera or photos or videos, right? So it's similar like that, but a little bit complicated, I would say, on how it's being done. But that is a feature, the feature that will be coming soon to Ubuntu. Like if any app, like for example Firefox want to access something on your downloads folder, right, so it will give you a prompt, this want to access this, do you want to give an access? But this is something that is still in development and will be coming soon. But right now we have to but it's not that bad, right? You have seen at the rules, not including the above part and the down part, but the rules, like it was like pretty simple, like file name and read. That is something that we can read and implement, right? So I'll talk a little bit about two modes that AppArmor has. So one is complaint mode and another is enforce mode. On complaint mode, you should be able to run the app, but it just complains, but it does not stop. It runs but does just complains. And in enforce mode, it won't let you access anything that the rule does not mention explicitly. So in complaint mode, if an application did not have access to read HC password, like in our previous example it did not, should AppArmor give access to this particular file? It should, because it's in complaint mode. It gives the access but locks that, hey, this application read this, I allow this, but is this something that, is this something a legitimate case? It's up to users to determine. But in enforce mode, it won't give you access for that. So enough of chit chat. Let's dive into writing some AppArmor profiles. But yeah, before doing that, do you have any questions? Anything at all? Does it? Is it too technical? Am I losing someone? Anything at all? Feel free to stop me, ask me questions. I'm more than happy to clarify. The learning curve is usually always steeper in the beginning, but if you go through this, at the end of this workshop, I mean, you should be able to write AppArmor profiles for things like Nginx. So of course you will have too much to confine, but the basics, I mean, if you have done 1 or 2 AppArmor profile, then it should be very easy for you to start writing. I mean, it's not difficult to understand. You can write AppArmor profile for something that is already there on the Ubuntu system, and you can compare those, right? So this is the template that we'll start our profile with. Everything that starts with hash is a comment that you can probably ignore. Then it defines an ABI. It is something like, if you know web application, then there can be multiple versions of web APIs, right? So this is something kernel ABI. So this is something that you should not, I mean, need not need to understand. Which you can probably ignore. Then so let's do this. Let's first create this template. I mean, let's create a template profile for our application. Then we'll take it from there. So everything regarding AppArmor, you can find it inside AppArmor D. So these are the profiles that were shipped with your Ubuntu release. Note that you might have different files based on which release you are. I am on Novel, which is 2404, and the profiles keeps on increasing as we go on, which is natural. If you notice something, I mean, you can find some things that you might have used, like Firefox, which has AppArmor profile. And if you have a look at this, so this is something that is that was on our template. I think this was on our template as well. And so this is the rule for Firefox, right? So what we'll do, we'll create a profile called UbuCon Asia 2025, which is the name of our application. And you need sudo access because it's inside AppArmor D. Then you should be so you can use any editor you want. I'll type it out. You can probably write. So like I said, this is the ABI version from kernel. It might change, like in future it can go to 5.0, which means that new feature were added to kernel or something did not work or something like that. So it's similar to API. Then we'll include tunables global. I'll show you what this file, in Linux everything is file, and obviously what you are including here is a file, which I'll show you in a bit what it contains. Then I'll start with a keyword profile, which is keyword for AppArmor. Then my profile name is UbuCon Asia 2025. Then the binary that we installed previously, which is on the location UbuCon Asia 2025 curly braces. This is where we'll write the profile itself. Then I'll include another file which I'll talk you in a bit. This is then abstractions base. So the file that I'm editing right now, so I'm not editing but creating a new file. So it's inside AppArmor D. Then you'll create a new file called UbuCon Asia. So you have to create a new file here. Like I told you, you don't have to worry about this. This is normal. This is something that we are including both of these lines. Then this is just knowing which profile, I mean which binary that we are writing profile for, and the name of the profile itself. Make sense? I'll save this file and come out. Then I will have to ask AppArmor to add this particular profile to AppArmor, right? So I'll add this profile. So the profile is now added. I can confirm this with a status. Right now you can see that there are 55 profiles. There are a total of 151 profiles that are loaded, and 55 are in enforce mode. Then if we scroll a little bit down, and we can see that we have our profile right here. So it has been applied and is on enforce mode. And if you have missed the step how to apply this is here. You can use this command to add this particular profile to enforce mode. Yeah.
How does it know which profile to assign to which application?
Yeah, it's up to you how you name it, but it's I mean, if Firefox decide to name their profile Brave, then it would be kind of confusing, right? So it's for us to know that, okay, this profile. So I'll show you the profile as well here. भइसक्यो? So the naming is entirely up to you. You can name it whatever you want, but at least you should try to make things easier for other people. If they are editing this, with this it becomes clear that this rule is for that particular binary, and the profile name is same as the binary.
If the binary is moved somewhere else, then this profile does not.
Yeah, it does not work. So the binary has to be in that particular location. It does not work if your binary moves to some other places, then it won't work.
Does this only work on Ubuntu?
I don't know for sure. I haven't tried on Mac.
So I'm doing it in Firefox and
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem if you are doing. What does it say? You don't have that particular directory? के चाहिँ एबिआई केमा चाहिँ समस्या यस्तो होला त्यसो भए कर्नलको भर्जन हो नि त एपिआई जस्तो जस्तै प्यारोटमा चाहिँ अर्कै एबिआई 3 अथवा कुनै युज गरेर हेर नत्र चाहिँ यसो च्याट जिपिटी गऱ्यो भने यसमा चाहिँ कुन एबिआई भर्जन छ तर तिम्रो चाहिँ अरू कुरा नमिल्न सक्छ कि मैले गर्दै जाँदा एबिआई फाल्यो भने नि मिल्छ लगभग इफ मिलेन भने यो लाइन नै हटाइदेऊ तर अलिकति थोरै डिफरेन्स चाहिँ भेट्छौ अहिले म कहाँ भेट्छौ म भन्छु के प्रब्लम हो गएर तिमी यसो घुम नि त अब यहाँ कसलाई के प्रब्लम छ भने डु हेभ एनी प्रब्लम
यो भीमबाट मलाई चलाउने आएन नानोबाट
हुन्छ ए मजाले हुन्छ लेख्ने मात्रै हो यु के जेमा गर्दा पनि हुन्छ या
I cannot see any processes named AppArmor running on my system. So how does it internally work?
It's you are running Mac and it's Ubuntu.
It's Ubuntu.
So you are saying that it does not have that particular directory or
No, it does, like I cannot find any processes named.
okay. So this is a LSM, which means it's the kernel runs this. So it should be there. I don't know. I haven't checked, but it's a LSM. So kernel.
So it's like a separate kernel module.
Yeah, it's a kernel module. No, I mean it's Universal Linux. Any questions? चल्दैन. If you have get to this point and if you try to run the server again, it shouldn't run because now that we have implemented AppArmor profile for this and it is by default on enforce mode. So your server shouldn't run and it should it should basically crash, saying that it does not have some kind of permission, which we'll look into. So should I continue? Have all of you written the rule, just the template, and applied it in force mode, or? So if I try to run the server, it said that the permission is denied, something related to socket, then it isn't able to run this. So I'll talk a little bit about networking. What I'll talk about is I'll talk about DNS. DNS is something that if you type in example.com or facebook.com, it should give you an IP, right? Does everyone know what DNS is, or should I? Okay, so since I am running this on localhost, it means that my computer needs to resolve the actual IP for this. So right now it's blocking every network access and everything. That means that it cannot resolve DNS. So which we should consider, which we will consider while writing profile. But so I want to start writing profile for this, but first I want to make sure everyone is on the same page, that you have created a template, then you have applied the profile, then you see something like that. Okay? Does anyone have any problem reaching up to this point?
Status says it does contain the policy
Profile. Can you show me the profile? Looks good. And if you go back inside a status, just do less. It does not mean that it should a status. Just do a less. It says enforce there, and is it okay? What you can do is try to remove the profile and load it again. Which Ubuntu version is this?
This is the latest one, not the LTS one, but
Lucky or
it's 25, I think.
okay, 25. It shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so what you can do is sudo AppArmor parser. Like you did -A to add it, you can do -R to remove it, and then re-add it. You talk to him. So let's move on. We don't have much time, so let's move on. Now I run this and it does not work. What I'll do is I'll skip DNS part for now. What I can do is I can specify the host, which is my localhost IP. Then I'll specify the port. That was previously that port, right? And if I try to run it, now I get a different type of issue, because right now it does not need to resolve the DNS because I have manually provided the IP. Now we get into a different issue, right? Now what we can do is we can have a look at the logs that AppArmor throws whenever there is a denial. Then we'll try to go through the logs and add rules step by step. So to look at the AppArmor denial logs, what we can use is we can use journalctl. If you run this command, it should throw a lot of denial message regarding AppArmor, because we already ran it and it was long. But we'll try to have a look from a fresh perspective. So let's try to run the application again. I run it again. You can see that there was some log in here. So there are so many rules, right? So there are so many denials that are going on. I would suggest you running with this particular parameter so that we don't get DNS issues, right? So I'll do this, I run this, now permission is denied, and if I look here, there are two things that were denied. The first one says that the AppArmor action here is denied. The operation was open, it was trying to open something, it was trying to open a file, and the profile is this something that we created, and it wanted to open a file which is its own binary. It should be able to read its own binary, so let's add that, right? So it kind of makes sense, right? It should be able to read its own binary. It makes sense. And then we'll add this particular profile, rule to AppArmor profile. Now, similar to previously, Sorry?
Not able to read its binary, I was able to read those messages.
Yeah, I mean, it was able to read its binary, but yeah, good question that I haven't thought about. I'll get back to you on that. How was it able to read? That's a pretty nice question, yeah. If it wasn't able to read, the binary, how was it able to print those messages? Exactly.
Excuse me.
Sorry?
Can I choose the coordinates?
Yeah, sure. This one? Which coordinates do you mean?
I'm not sure. Like, we cannot see.
Oh, okay. Let me try. I think we can pull all of it. Can you try pulling that too? Thanks. Is it better?
Yes.
So I'll start with the file name. Yeah.
The file itself not being read, right? Because if AppArmor is using an warning, an error, or open system call of the SSH, right?
Yeah.
Like we got socket open, create call mein error aaya.
Yeah.
We got an error.
Yeah.
So that means that UbuCon Asia actually ran, right?
Yeah, it ran. I do not know the answer off the top of my head, so I'll look at the syscalls later, and I'll let you, because it definitely read the file, right? Yeah. I'll get back to you on that. So I'll add this read. One thing about this is that after you add some rule, you have to reload the profile itself. So to reload the profile, you do reload. -A was for add, -R is for removing, and -R is to reload the profile. So I reload the profile. I'll run this same thing again. I'll check the logs. Let me do it again. I check the logs. Maybe I missed something, right? Because it still is asking for me. So things cannot go wrong in a demo. So I'll correct that. So I'll run it again. Then it accesses the file, right? So the rule, the denial message went out. Now it is trying. So the next denial message, we can see that it's trying to create something. Net is something related to network. It is trying to create something on network. You can see that on family it says inet, which means IPv4. inet 6 is IPv6. Then the sock type is stream, which means TCP. So it was trying to create something, which it was trying to create a socket, which it failed. So what we can do is we can add this particular rule as well. I mean, writing rules, I mean, in beginning it might seem, they are self-explanatory. I'll say I'll start with similar to file. I'll start with network, then I'll give it a create, then I'll say inet, which is IPv4, then I'll say stream, which is TCP. What I'll do is I'll make this like this. I'll reload the profile, then I'll run it again. Now we can see that there is a different error message here. Now we get two error messages, right? It tried to read something, and there's another network message as well. So this is something that it's not particular to our application, but what Jin does. So it's trying to read a file from a Linux which defines maximum number of connection. So this is something that is not harmful. I mean, while doing this, you might not know all the things that come along. So now it's trying to read ask access for this particular file. You don't know what it does. You can do a quick Google or ChatGPT, then you learn about that file, and if it makes sense, you can add that to the profile. So for me, if I don't add it, it will show denial messages, and it's not harmful to add this particular thing. So I'll go ahead and add this. So it now can read access to that. I'll reload my profile again. Then if I run this, now we get just one error message. Now it is trying to set socket option. Now since we have created a socket, now it needs parameter that needs to be set, right? So now it's trying to set those options. Class is net, which means network, and still the family is inet, and the sock type is stream. So what I can do is I can just give it permission to set options. Just make sure that there are no any typos. I'll save that, I'll reload that, then I'll run this app again. Now it says that there is a different kind of denial message that it cannot bind, because after creating the socket we want to bind this to port 8080, which it cannot. So I'll quickly add that rule here as well. I'll reload the profile. I'll run this thing again. Now it cannot listen on that particular port, because that's something that's expected of a web server. I mean, once you've gone through this, you get a deep understanding of how sockets work and how web server works in terms of networking. Then the concept is same for every other package like Nginx, Apache, and things like that.
Are we allowing this setup of system calls?
Yeah. So yeah, if you want, you can just asterisk it and look at the system call that it's asking for. But yeah, I won't be doing that since we are a little bit short on time. So right now it need a listen. So I've added listen, but let me refresh this. Now it wants another thing, which is accept and get attribute. I'll add this both. I'll reload the profile. I'll run this now. As you can see that now it's finally letting me, it's finally working and listening on that particular thing. This one? So it created a socket, set option to it, bind to a port, then start listening, then it start accepting a request from clients and getting some attributes, right? So with this set of permission, we were able to listen on that particular interface and port. Now what I will do is I'll try to load that from UI. Still not working. There are some things that are still missing. Let's see what they are. If we see here, there is a receive that has been denied. So the class is still network, and then the family is still inet. Then sock type is still stream. So it means that I will add this. So what was denied is receive, and I'll update the profile, reload this. Then I'll stop this and I'll rerun this, and let's try it from UI. It's still not working. Let's see the logs. Now there is a different error message that if you look at the last error message here, it says it tried to open a file. The name was the directory that we were using. It tried to open that and it was denied. So it makes sense for us to give access to this particular animal pictures directory. So let's do that. But one problem here, you can see that this is my you can see my user right after home. The user is mine, and if I set rules for this particular directory, if someone else using this app and this profile, it won't work for them because it might be something different like their name or Ubuntu or something like that. So what AppArmor does, it introduced something called global variables that you can see here. It's inside the same directory itself. If you go inside that, you can see that there are some more abstraction for home. And if I look at tunable home, so there is a home directory variable that is defined and a home that is defined that we can use for consistency, right? So let's add this. So I'll say this is on my home, animal pictures, and read permission, right? So we know that we have to upload the files to this particular directory as well. So to save some time, I'll add write permission to, and we also know that we have to access pictures that are inside this directory as well. So I'll add in double asterisk, which means globbing everything that's inside this particular directory. So I've saved that. I reload so there's some error here because we forgot the file directory. I've saved that. I reloaded and still complaining about. Okay. So if we look at tunables home, the variable might be something called, it might be represented as such. So that is something that I'm missing. Kind of look weird. I think there was a dollar here, but let me try this.
Why do we have to write those lines?
Sorry?
Won't the single one work the last line?
Yeah, it won't. So this first one is for the directory itself, and the second one is for everything that's inside the directory. So what I can do is I can combine these two things. If you want, I can do something like this, which will work for both of these cases. But yeah, you have to provide different things for if it's a directory or if it's a file. Now that I've done that, I'll quickly reload this, run it from here. It's still not working. It still needs send on the network. So this is a little bit tedious task, right? But I mean, it's supposed to be tedious. You get to learn things that are happening under the hood. You get to learn those, and I'll show you a better way to do this. I mean, there's an easier way to do this as well, but that would be a little bit more permissive. Now we have everything in place, and we can see that the root loads, and we can see our images as well, right? So now that we have done this tedious work, I'll show you how we can, do this quickly, I'd say. Because let's say for DNS, if I'll try to introduce DNS. So if I run just this, it fails because there is no DNS, and you can see that right now it tried to create something in the network. The family is IPv4 still, but the sock type is dgram, which means it's a DNS query. It's a DNS query. So what I'll do is I won't go through every step, every syscall that it is making. but instead what I'll do is I'll just say network, I'll say inet, and I'll just say tgram, which means it gives access to everything that it has. Right here we were just going through the subcategories, but with this you give access to everything else. I reload my profile, then I'll run it again. Then I still see the error because it's trying to resolve on IPv6 as well. If you look at the denial message, you can see that here you can see the family is inet 6. I'll add that here. Now I'll reload the profile, then I'll run it from here. Then it needs some file access. So in Linux, since everything is file, we have to tell where to resolve our DNS from, which files to look at. So these are the few files that it need access to. Now let's add this file as well. So this is read. I mean, before adding any files, if you don't know what it does actually and what it contains, you should have a look at it, know what it does. So I'll reload this and then run it. Now we are able to run using DNS on that particular port. Are there any questions? So right now what we did is that we give access to the TCP, I'd say we give network access to this app. We've given it access to pictures directory in our home and couple of things that it needs to resolve DNS. So this file, I'd say this for file read for DNS. This is something that our app needs. This is for DNS as well, network access for DNS. And this is for listening on our interface. So does anyone have any questions before we move to, right now what we solved, I'll show you. So what we solved is that if we try to read the file now, and we get 403, which means that it was denied by AppArmor. If we look at the logs, it says it was denied and the app was trying to read this particular file which was denied by AppArmor. So we can, like we did, we can add this particular file to AppArmor profile, but this is not something that we would expect from a app that shows images, right? So this is something that we want to prevent, and with this AppArmor profile we prevented two attacks. I would say the two vulnerabilities that were there, the arbitrary file read and the arbitrary file write vulnerability. You can see that the file read does not work, and let's try to upload some pictures as well. So I'll try to upload this on a temp directory because I can write on that particular thing. Then it said it failed to save the file. And if we look at the logs, we can see that the file is there, and the AppArmor blocked access to that particular thing. Does anyone have any questions? I kind of went through quickly, I guess, the last section, but yeah, you can ask me any question if you have. Hopefully things are making sense. I'm trying to at least encourage you to start writing AppArmor profiles. I know, like I said, there might be a lot of things that are going on that you don't understand correctly, but yeah, if you try to do it yourself, things will definitely make sense. We are not doing anything fancy here. We are blocking everything. Then we are just trying to do a simple thing, trying to run the application and see what was denied. Okay, this was denied, it makes sense to add this to my profile. I'm adding this, and then I'm running it again and it denies something else. Then I'll add that to my profile, then I run it, and with iterating this step, with iteration you get a profile and it works right now it works for some feature and it does not work for some feature. For example, if I try to run ping, what do you think? Should we be should we all I mean should we be able to ping to this particular thing? The answer is no, because I mean I do not recall giving access to ping binary in my profile. It was just file read and that one particular binary that is related to this application, right? So we shouldn't be able to get access to ping, which is expected. I mean we'll be adding that. But yeah, before moving into that, I want to hear from you. Are there any questions?
So we have network, iNet, Digram.
Yeah.
I think it will accept everything in the iNet.
Yeah, what it does is that here we are just giving, I mean we are using sub rules too, right now. But with this, everything is included in a bunch.
Good practice.
Yeah, it's good practice because it's fine grained. You only have what you need, but with this, you get access to everything. At least, at least even if you have a profile and it's just this particular line, it means that I won't be able to execute binary, right? I won't be able to execute ping. It's much safer than what we had, but still, this is best practice. You are only giving what the application need. But yeah, this is something that you can use, and if you see other profiles as well, you will see other profiles that are shipped in Ubuntu. They use this kind of thing.
Once the application grows and it becomes very big.
Yeah, I mean, so if application grows, then that also has to be taken into consideration. If it needs access to something else, then we have to add that to AppArmor profile or it breaks.
It may have like hundreds of system calls.
Yeah, I mean, there are abstraction here as well. So if you'll check the abstractions, there is abstraction for PHP. There is abstraction for browsers. So if you are implementing a new browser, you can just import that abstraction. Then it makes your life easier, because this project started I think in 2003 or 2004, and over the time things evolved and there are different abstractions which makes things a little bit easier. But if I were to commit another change to my profile that reads something else, then I have to take into consideration that I have to add that to my profile.
So like the abstraction part is giving us some
Yeah.
set of pre-written.
Yeah.
But can I overwrite it by file on top of it?
I mean, if you want to override abstraction, you can. I mean, it will be on your system only. If you want to, it's a right thing to do. What you can do is create a PR on the GitLab, which AppArmor GitLab. Then get it merged. Then you can see that abstraction reflected to your system, right? And if you are a Linux user, you can change anything you want, right? But it will be only on your system.
So is the network create setups like sequential or can it be random?
Yeah, it can be random. Yeah.
Is there a way to reverse this thing? So for example, so what is currently doing is it's blocking everything at first.
Yeah, there is. There is. Yeah,
if I want to allow everything, it blocks for everything.
Yeah, so right now what we are doing is we implemented this profile in enforce mode, which means that it blocks everything. So the another way to do this is that you can keep the profile in complaint mode, run it. It allows everything as if it's running unconfined, but it will log error messages. Why I choose this approach is that if I were to set this application in complaint mode, then I will probably get like 200, 300 denial messages at once, and that will be unmanageable for me to show, right? So with this, we are tackling one problem at a time. We are learning simple rules. Then you can implement, you can put this, I'll show you. So to put this in complaint mode, you can do like put it in complaint here and save it, reload it, then puts in the complaint mode. But I won't be doing that because we'll move on to the ping part. But yeah, as long as there are no any questions and things like that.
His question was more about blacklisting.
You were saying about blacklisting? If it's about blacklisting, with enforce mode, everything is blacklisted by default. So whatever, if Now if the rule is not listed here, this is allow list, and everything that is not mentioned is by default blacklisted. So I will move on to the next bit, which is we have to make this particular, sorry, yeah?
So like you are using Ubuntu 24, right?
Yeah.
Before Ubuntu 24, for Ubuntu 22, there was V3 of AppArmor,
Yeah.
right? So how to write the network?
Yeah, for that it's a, I mean, I tried it on a different ABI, and it wasn't letting me set like so वो काम नहीं कर रहा था, काम कर रहा था पर it was not, I mean, these both rules were similar, like whatever was inside the brackets, it was not respecting that. I mean, if you show me the rule.
For me, I have the ABI 3.
Oh, okay. So I don't think this will be implemented on your case. Everything will. It's if you delete this too, or if you keep it or do not keep it, it won't make any difference. I think with this ABI, if you are saying that, that might be the reason.
Maybe because the ABI doesn't support networking.
Yeah. Not networking, but the pattern that we are giving each and every syscalls, that is not, I think, supported. I've tried that, and yeah, I can confirm that it's not supported. It might be only introduced in 4.0, but I'm not too sure about this. But it's not supported, that I know.
So I think I might have to update my Ubuntu only.
Yeah. Now let's work on this. We have to make this working, right? So I'll run this and see the denial message, right? Now you can see that it's trying to execute a dash. I completely forgot about the slides. So let me quickly walk through. So for root, it needed access to animal pictures write and animal pictures read write access. Then for read, it needed access to that particular directory. For upload, it needed access to that particular directory as well, which we already did. Then for ping, how ping works in this case is that the UbuCon Asia 2025, our binary spawns a cell, and this cell spawns a ping binary. So it's a two-step process, I would say. This is called, then ping is called. So our AppArmor rule should incorporate this, right? So right now it is trying to execute dash. So SS is this, and this is symling to dash, I believe. So that's why it's trying to execute dash. So SS is symling to dash. So it's trying to execute that particular thing. So let's add this particular rule. So I would say user bin dash and execute. If I save this and reload this, it should error out saying that if you are executing this, it should have one of other field as well, right? So now that we are invoking a different binary, AppArmor wants to know, does this new binary have its own AppArmor profile, and do you want to use that? So it asks for that. And right now dash might have, might not have. We can also choose to run this in unconfined mode. It means that this will be run, but in an unconfined mode. This doesn't have any AppArmor rules, so it will run in unconfined mode. So it can basically do whatever it wants. So I'll reload this. I'll restart the server. Then if I go here, then this time we were able to get the output back, because once, yeah, it should work with semicolon ID as well, because it's running on in unconfined mode, and it's I mean, we didn't do anything with our AppArmor rules, right? Because it was just similar as before. So what we can do is we can create a sub profile as well inside our rule for how we want to execute this assets profile. So bear with me, I'll write a sub profile for this. So CX means a child profile, then I'll name it assets only ping, means that it should spawn assets and it should only spawn ping. For sanity, I'll include app abstraction base, so that I get some things by default, then I don't have to go through all those error logs, right? Then what I'll do is that I'll run ping but unconfined. So if I were to, there isn't a ping AppArmor profile on Noble, and I don't think it's shipped on any Ubuntu release. There is, but it's not shipped for some reason. And if we go down this route, I will be writing AppArmor profile for ping, so I'm stopping here. So I'm not writing any AppArmor profile for ping. I'll just run it as unconfined, but this way everything else should be denied, because I'm just giving it access to run ping. I'll reload this, gives me some error on line 24. There might be some typo. Yeah, so we cannot do this. We have to write a profile, assets only ping.
Can't we just import another file?
Sorry? Yeah, we can. So if you were to create in another file, that means that it will work for other similar use cases, right? But this is something just for us. I mean, feel free to just create using that too. Obviously, another mistake. It's on 31. What I'm missing. I'll quickly check my notes. Sorry? Another typo. Good catch, thanks. Still not working. That's why I said I'll check my notes quickly. Thanks a lot. Good catch. At least he is following, right? That's a good thing. Should I reload this? Will it work this time? It won't? Let's see. It did. Finally we get that to work. I'll reload this. Do you think now it will work?
It will work.
I won't be too sure, because it might be missing at least something, which it usually does. So right now what is trying to do is it's trying to read that particular binary similar to the previous one. So I'll quickly add that. So it should be read, right? I forgot to reload the profile, which I'll do now. Then I'll restart this. And we are still getting some errors, but now we know what to do with this, right? So we run something, we get errors, we check the logs, then we add this, right? So it's trying to memory map this particular binary. So for that it's M. Now I feel confident now. It should work, right? But I wouldn't be too sure. But do you think it should work now?
Yes.
Yeah, it does work. Now we were able to get output from ping, but as you can see, the other command it denied straight away. And if we look at the logs, it says that the ID was in fact denied. We can check it again, like something like, now it should not work, right? Since even if this was not implemented, we implemented file checks on our end, it should not work. And even if it was there, it does not let us spawn a new.
Ping also there.
Yeah, because ping is here because we have explicitly mentioned ping, so that's why the ping is allowed to execute and it's running on unconfined. I mean unconfined mode. I mean we can.
After semicolon. In the UI after semicolon, what can be?
Yeah, I think it should work. Let's try it. I forgot to add -C1, so I think it's doing 4 pings. It takes some time, or it might be more than that. So I just kill that. So I'll just try to ping localhost. Then yeah, we get 2 responses back. So now we can say that we have created a profile that lets you only read what the application needs, lets you write to the places where the application needs. Then we have also mitigated the command injection vulnerability. If you look at the code for this, it's definitely vulnerable, but with the help of AppArmor, then yeah, we were able to mitigate that. And if you check the rules, I mean, we have, I think from the beginning we have come a long way. If you check the rules, and I mean I'll show you rules for other things as well. It's pretty much similar to this. I mean, now that we have gone through this, maybe you tried again for the same application, then you can just go ahead and start writing profile for something that you use, like host name, like ID. ID is a simple example, right? Then you can use it to write AppArmor profile for call and whatever you use, right? So I'll show you, because this does not have the latest profiles. I'll show you what the profiles usually look like. I mean, do we have for duplicate? No. I'm currently working on duplicate. It's not merged yet, so that you cannot find it there. So yeah, there is definitely a profile for call. And if you see it, so if we were to include TLS certificate, there is abstraction for that. This is something you can have a look at. If you give access to the whole home directory, it lets you at least deny some of the things that it shouldn't access, like your SSS. So, and this name service is exactly what we did. It's for DNS. If you don't want to go through all the rules, you can just include this and the DNS will be included by defaults. So if you look here, it's something similar to what we have done, right? So DNS for DNS, for IPv6. So right now our application doesn't support IPv6 because we haven't added that, but have a look. It definitely looks like something we have implemented. So there will be files. So it definitely looks like something that we have implemented. And yeah, I mean, it should give you a pretty good place to start. And I'll go back to my slide. So I mean, contributing to open source is something that I absolutely love. I mean, and if you do not have a prior experience, and I mean, it's a little bit tough, right? You don't know where to start. I mean, where do I get, what should I do? So I mean, if you are into security and if you are interested in writing AppArmor rules and stuff, you can definitely start by writing profiles. Pick something, I mean, pick something that there's already a profile for. Try to write a profile for that. Then you can just look at what the actual profile look like. Then you can learn from that. And one thing that was mentioned was when the new functionality gets added, things are bound to break because they might need extra permission. So you can just start by testing AppArmor profiles, or when you are running, because these are all the AppArmor profile that are shipped, they are in force. As you saw that there were some around 57 or something profile that are in force mode, and if something were to break, you know where to find it, you can fix it, right? And that way you can start contributing. You just go on that particular repo that I showed you, create a YAML, you can get a response and reviews there. Then yeah, it will be your first open source contribution. And yeah, that should be it. Thanks very much. Any questions?
You didn't answer the first one. For the first question, you didn't answer.
Yeah, I do have to look at myself. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'll have an answer by tomorrow.
One of my assumptions is that some other binary responsible for executing that. It's actually same as the idea that it is trying to do it, so that's what it is. But then
Okay, yeah. So it's we were in. Yeah, so there was some, now that he has said it, we imported abstraction base which has access to different things. So abstraction base has access to different things. So that might be why it was able to read that. But yeah, I am not 100% sure. I'll have a look and we'll have an answer for you. Yeah, obviously tomorrow.
Data uses SEs, right? We use AppArmor. So what's the difference and why we don't use SEs?
I haven't used SE Linux myself personally. Maybe it's more difficult and not that user friendly to. I mean, you saw AppArmor rules, like it's. I mean, if you get used to it, it's like that you are just reading a book. Like this file, read the network access. This. It's easy, right? I mean, it's human readable, friendly. So yeah, I think SE Linux maybe doesn't have that. I mean, I have used Ubuntu and only used Ubuntu for a long time, so I am not that familiar with SE Linux. But yeah, I'm biased on that sense.
Excuse me, is there any enterprise?
Yeah.
Is there any enterprise company which is using app?
Yeah, I mean, Ubuntu uses AppArmor by default, and everyone uses Ubuntu. So everything is there. So that's a good feeling that if you write one AppArmor profile, it will be shipped in Ubuntu, and you can see your name in there. So yeah, it's a good feeling, and I would really suggest you think about contributing.
Actually, Snaps uses AppArmor for all the restrictions. So if you have used Snaps, it's using AppArmor.
So what's the profile comes created by Mozilla or by Canonical?
I'm not quite sure. Right now, our team writes all the AppArmor profiles, so it's us writing. But I'm not entirely sure. Since Mozilla also have Snap, it might be them writing the profile, but the load mostly fall on us. So it's us writing the profile for everything that's shipped in Ubuntu, except from what's already there is, right? And if you check, if you check the merge request on the upstream AppArmor, you can see that there are different things there on the pipeline. So I'll quickly show you that. So if you label and do a new profile, you can see the new profile that's there in development right now. So people are adding AppArmor for JQ, for FFmpeg, for group add, yeah. So unzip, and these are wget, yeah. So these are the things that are still to be merged, but in develop. So if you want to contribute, these profiles are there, but it's highly likely that they are missing something, because I mean there's. For wget as well, there are so many command line arguments that I had to go through to make sure that it works, right? So if I open this, you can see the rule is pretty less, and there's this is the abstraction that I created, and this is the rule for AppArmor. So I had to go through each and every flag there is to make sure that everything works. So have a look around. I mean, this if you have now that you have hands-on experience, I would say you will pretty much understand the rules, play with it. I mean, and you have wget on your system. I mean, just copy this rule, just create a rule, keep it in force mode, run wget, then you will be able to, I mean, you instantly know, right, what you are trying to achieve, and if it's error out, you'll have at least have a pointers on what to do. Sorry? It's for everything. So it's not just for binary files. I think we with sorry, you meant AppArmor profiles, right? So yes, it's for binary files. I mean, node is a binary, right? So you confine node, because node is something that runs all the other things. Like it will spawn 10 different processes, but at the heart it's just a node binary that is calling them.
When we contribute, we also need to write test case.
It's not necessary, but it's a good practice. So for this, I haven't added any test cases, but it's good practice. So we are right now implementing spread, something to do automatic testing, but it's not mandatory for you to write test cases. And after you submit your profile, someone from our team and someone who are just open source enthusiasts, they will have a look at your profile, give you suggestion. Similar to mine right here, I have 17 comments. The people look at my profile, give me comments on what I should include or something like that, and yeah, you can go on and resolving those comments. For Dubugate or the last one? Okay. Can you shade? It's visible, or should I make the font a little bit larger? I haven't, since this is just a test. Yeah, I'll add this AppArmor to the Git repo that we have. It's not there, and I'll add it there. Yeah, I can do that. I'll just comment. I'll just push this to the repo just after this. So, yeah.
It's working now. The API fee, I got the correct syntax.
It's a slightly different.
Yeah, it's.
Even are you using it?
Yeah, I'm using it. It really works, so I let it.
What happens when we get introduced as a new feature? Like who is responsible for updating?
Us. I mean, if you are.
For every profile.
Yeah.
And is there a place where like do we just select the program, or is there some sort of?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you at least have a look at what's there and pending. I mean, you don't want to write an AppArmor profile for call or duplicate because that's already written for. A good pointer would be to look at GTFO bins and see what binary are actually being used to escalate privileges, and then you can target those binaries if they don't have a profile. Then that way you can show your impact as well. Do you have any questions? Did you guys follow along? Do you have any questions? Did you guys follow along? I hope it was informative. I mean, it's kind of rust, but hopefully you learned something along the way. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, I didn't tell you, but yeah, do reach out to me. Yeah, and if you have any queries, do reach out to me. My tag is on the, I think the start, it's Shishir sub 10. I think I have an email on my GitHub repo as well. I am reachable on LinkedIn.